Had some IRL stuff that was pressing. You guys don't care about that stuff, though. We're here for the public seminar. It's kind of weird. So I guess I'll just be reading the chat during what we're going to be talking about. All right, I got the chat open. All right, so I think one thing that it's going to be about top lane today, obviously because I'm a top laner. I think one thing that's really important about top lane and is really unique to top lane is abusing level 1s and snowballing that into a big advantage. So sometimes in top lane, there is such a huge discrepancy between champions that simply because of the level 1 strength, you can snowball it consistently game after game if you're a stronger level 1 than the champion. Okay, so I don't know if anyone's ever done this before, but I'm going to be taking a volunteer from one of you guys, sharing my screen and going through how you abuse someone level 1. Okay, so I'm going to be asking someone to volunteer and to play a champion that I asked them to play, so that I can demonstrate how you abuse a level 1 advantage in the 1v1. So, any brave souls on the North American server want to put their IGN put your IGN in the seminar chat if you're on NA, and I will invite you. Beast Fridge? Okay. Alright. Invite is sent out. Okay, spot 4. Alright, Beast Fridge. So, what are some champions that you play? So, just so you're not first time a champion in the 1v1, what are some champions that you play? You can just put it in the league chat or in the seminar chat. And I'll pick one of them, and then I'll counterpick you. Yone, Set, Yasuo. Okay, so how about you play Yasuo, and I will play Set. Okay? And I will show everyone how you snowball a level 1 advantage in top lane. And it pretty much plays the exact same no matter what champions are being played. So I'm gonna start the game, and I'm gonna share my screen. And we're gonna go from there. All right, I'm gonna do my runes. Set versus Yasuo. So the easiest. Oh, share my screen. All right, everyone can be watching. So the easiest way to consistently get an advantage in top lane is a thing called a cheater recall. And I'm sure if any of you guys are familiar, it's become very popular over the past year to cheater recall. Oh my gosh. Okay, this will be especially good because he took Ignite. I don't know why this guy took Ignite, but it's especially good because he has Ignite, which is very bad top lane, and I'll show you why. I thought TP was cheating. It's fine. I thought TP was cheating. Okay, so if you have a stronger level 1, what I'll see a lot of people do is they'll be just chilling with the wave level 1 right here, just jerking off, last hitting, and slowly pushing the wave. But what you can do is actually run all the way past the wave if you have a strong level 1 as a melee character and totally zone them off the wave. And very few people do this until like Master, Challenger, but especially in low elo, people will disrespect it and they will even die to it. So what's really important for this though is you're warding this tri-brush. If you're on blue side like I am right now, warding this tri-brush at 125 is very important because if you're playing super aggressive, the jungler might gank you level 2 or 3 camp at the top, right? So this ward is very important for this because if you're just playing super aggressive with no wards, then obviously you're going to die. But this ward will cover you for the first 3 waves top lane if you ward at 125. So until then, we can just stand right here. We can even walk in the bush at this point because the jungler won't be here. Sure, we'll chunk him. Great. This will happen a lot, by the way. Especially in lower elos. Those will be jerking off right there. We drop the ward, and now we walk all the way past the wave. If he tries to touch the wave, we run at him, and we chunk him. So we sit in the bush so the minions don't aggro to us, right? And then once the minions all start hitting each other, that's when we walk past the wave. And we just start zoning him. This is really common in set versus melee matchups. Like most of Set's melee matchups, he can do something similar to this. And it's okay if we take a bit of damage because he's not getting the XP from the creeps. And don't even worry about getting the XP, the gold, as long as you're getting the XP from the creeps. So we're slow stacking this wave, making sure that he's missing as much as possible. And the waves right here, so I don't want to take too much minion damage. So I'll let the waves just crash again. And then now I'll walk at him again. Just keep denying him. Slow stacking the wave. Really perfect. He's at 0 CS, right? This guy's crying. We'll be crashing on the third wave, and then we'll be basing and freezing. And as soon as this third wave gets here, you actually want to one-shot it and push it as fast as possible. So we can just push. If he gives us a chunk, it's totally fine. Any damage we take doesn't matter because we're basing after this anyway, right? So even if it's a bad trade, it's actually a good trade because you're going to be replenishing your HP bar. Okay, so we'll just let that push. And now we're going to base. And so here's the great thing about this, right? So he has a couple options, right, for this next wave. He can either fast push it and try and crash, in which case we'll TP and freeze, or he can slow push it, in which case we will walk back to lane and then freeze. So let's see what he does. So he's opting to fast push it, but he's not pushing it fast enough. Okay, he's slow pushing. That's totally fine as well. So we're just going to walk back to lane, and then once the wave gets right here, that's when we're going to freeze. And an interesting thing is that he actually needs the entire wave to get level 4, which normally he would need just the melees to get level 4, because we already denied him the melees level 1. Oh. So we're going to walk past him, already pop a potion because we're going to take a lot of damage, right? And drag the wave like this. If he wants to fight us, then we just fight him, and he has to blow flash. So we're just going to freeze like this, pull it in the bush, drop the minion aggro, keep it right here. And now we have a perma freeze, right? And anytime he walks up to this, we can drop the minion aggro, walk into the bush, and just walk behind him. And while we're running at him, our minions are dying, so he's getting denied CS this entire time, right? So this lane is just like totally unplayable for him. And another thing is that he took Ignite instead of TP. So anytime I get chunked or anything, I can always recall and TP back into the lane. And he doesn't have TP, right? He has Ignite, so he can't do the same thing. And he's just stuck here. He's also very gankable, obviously, right? He's playing Yasuo top, XD. Okay, so he's playing like a super pussy, right? But this is getting us a big CS lead. And the best thing about this rhythm that you get into is that it's applicable any game that you are stronger level 1, right? So a lot of champions can do this. Like Irelia can do this reliably after she cheaters and then freezes, right? Set can do it, Riven can do it, Renekton can do it. A lot of these strong early game champions can do it. So the wave is just still in this terrible spot for him, right? Once my E's back up, I can probably flash him and kill him. At any point, if I felt like I wanted to recall, I could recall, keep you back in, you know, and get an advantage that way, just full HP bar, right? All right. We'll call it there. All right, GG. So we're double his CS, right? Without having to kill him at 6 minutes, we are double the CS. All right, I'm gonna look at the chat now. How do you go about breaking this? So in the 1v1, he's not allowed to break it. So basically, he has to call his jungler, and it's on you to not die to the jungle gank. So what I'll usually do is I'll ward in the lane bush, or I'll ward for jungle, and waste the jungler's time whenever they come break the freeze. Shen can do it in some matchups. Volibear can do it in some matchups, yeah. It just depends on how strong the enemy champion is level 1, right? So anytime you have a level 1 advantage where you can zone them off the wave. Can you do it mid? No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't do it mid. Alawi level 1 is quite piss, so you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it with Alawi. Yeah. Also, slow stacking the 3 waves also sets up dives for your jungle if you chunk him low enough. Can you do this jungle? No, you can't do this jungle. And the best thing is that this isn't something that's like super high variance. If they have a stronger wave clear, like what? What would have stronger wave clear? What's an example you're thinking of? Any range, like most champions that have wave clear will get the push level 1 already. Okay, cool. So for the next part, some crazy picks in low elo. Yeah, I guess. So for the next part of the seminar, I think what a lot of people struggle with is dying to jungle ganks, especially like in low elo, they don't know where to ward, right? They don't know what's efficient. They're playing a winning matchup, and they're like, "Oh, I want to show this guy," right? And I'm playing really aggressive, but their fucking jungler always ganks me jungle gap, and it's always jungle gap, right? It's always jungle gap, guys. Like our jungler is always worse, and we're always getting spam ganked, and we can never play the game. Isn't that right? It's always jungle gap. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys some really OP places to ward, and at what timers, and yeah, just how warding can make you like a god tier top laner. Because I promise you, like no one knows this stuff except for like professional players and very high elo top laners on the timers to ward and when warding is necessary and when it's not necessary. I do coaching all the time with people in like Diamond 1, Master Tier, and their wards are always just piss, like total piss. Like, oh, I'll just buy I'll buy some pink wards. Does refresh cooldown refresh my trinket? Okay, it does. All right, so we're gonna speed up the game. So we already talked about this. We already talked about this ward level 1 last time on blue side, but what about the ward on red side, right? So if at 125, if we're playing blue side, we want to ward Tri-Brush, we're playing aggressive, right? But on red side, we obviously don't want to ward Tri-Brush, right? Because we're on red side. So the best place that ward is actually right here, level 1, and to control this bush. So if you're strong at level 1, you can get control of this bush. Like let's say you're playing Set versus the Yasuo, the Set could easily walk into the bush that I'm in right now, and 1v1 the Yasuo, take control of the bush, right? So then we would ward right here, level 1 at 125 to make sure the jungler can't gank us, right? So let's say that we're playing Jace, right? And we played our waves. We do our... Here, it'll push into him. Okay. So we're on the third wave, right? We don't get a cheetah recall off. So we push this wave. Right, we push this wave. And then we recall. Head back to base. And then what a lot of people will do is... Oh my gosh, wait, why is it bugged? What is this bug, by the way? What the hell? Where the fuck did the menu wave go? Okay, so I'm not sure what happened right there, but what a lot of people will do is... Here, we'll just reset it. This should be better. Okay, so the wave is coming back into them, right? And while they're coming back into base, they'll just like walk to lane. Like let's say the wave is even right here. They'll walk into lane right here, and then they'll just start playing their lane. And then they're like, oh shit, it's time for me to ward. And they walk in the jungle or they walk into the river and they get ganked while they're warding, right? So actually, the best thing to do is while you're coming back from base, right? Think about where they're going to gank you, and before you even get into lane, it's better to take this path, right? If you can take this path, and then ward before you actually get into the lane, right? So maybe I want a pink ward right here, and I want a ward right here before I get into the lane, right? Because if the jungler sees you in the lane, that's when they think to start ganking, right? The junglers don't have the foresight to think, oh, I'm going to catch him right here before he's even showed in lane to go and gank him. That's not what happens, right? So warding before you get into lane is very important, right? And also, what I'll see a lot of people do is they'll crash this wave or whatever, right? And they will think that if they're humping them at tower, that this tri-ward is actually going to save you. But this tri-ward isn't to save you if you're humping them on tower. So I'm playing Jace, right? I'm humping them on tower, right? By the time I see the jungler right here, I'm already dead, right? So, guys, can we think of a better place to ward than in Tri-Brush? Looking at the seminar chat, what's a better place to ward? Nope, not river. Krugs. Exactly. We want to ward the Krugs. The Kruggies. And Does anyone know when the second round of buff starts spawning? So let's say I start red buff. When does the second red buff spawn? So the second red buff. Around 650, right? It'll be a little bit after, right? It'll be a little bit after, but around 650, right? So if it's around the 650 timer, let's say they start a red buff, junglers will always take their buffs when they're up, right? That's just how they think. So whenever a buff is up, it's always better to ward the red buff than the like Krugs, for example, like in low elo, right? And you want to make sure that your ward shows the actual red, right? Don't ward like right here or like, anywhere else. So warding the buff is better than warding the camp, like the Krugs or the Raptors, because they're more likely to show on this first, especially. It's not necessarily better for them to do the red first, but it's just that's the tendencies of junglers. And if you're gonna ward Krugs, one ward that I see people do, oh my gosh, it's so cringe. Okay, they'll walk over here and they go to ward Krugs and they ward right here. Okay, so why is this ward total dog shit? Why is this bad, guys? Right, right. So you don't actually see the Krugs, right? And also, do you think that this ward is good enough, guys? It shows the Krugs. Do you think this ward is good enough? Yes or no? No, he can kite it. Exactly. Because if he is over here and he's playing Nidalee or something, right? He spears this. He kites it over here. Exactly. Right? This ward does not show. Okay? So the right place to place the ward is right here with the flowers. Right? That can be your easy indicator. Right here on the flowers, it will show him always if he's on Krugs. Okay? Just spin the extra 3 seconds. Quit being lazy. Quit being fat. Okay? Just drop the ward right here. All right? Get off your ass. Go where the flowers. All right. What about on the smaller path to lane? So you can see in the lane a bit. So yeah, this one's a little bit better, but it's all about efficiency, and doing the optimal thing for what the time usage is. So like you could ward right here for sure. It would do the same job. Only difference is you could see them walking into lane, and this would actually be like especially in pro play, this ward is a bit better if you think that their bot lane might swap in a top, right? So you're warding right here. You see their bot lane swapping to top. That's a high level thing, right? It definitely could be good in the right situations, but it's definitely very conditional. And then on red side, if I'm walking in right here, right? So if I want to be able to show the red and the Gromp, right? Because let's say I walk over here and I drop a ward right here, right? Same problem as before, right? It doesn't show the Gromp, but even this, he can pull it right here, right? So really easy thing is you see this little crevice right here, this little cut in the rock. Okay, you just take your mouse, put it right there. Boom, it'll show both. Okay, both red and Gromp. It'll show. So that's a little trick you can use for warding their blue and their Gromp. Yeah. So that's warding for generally in the early stages of the game, warding camps and all that sort of stuff. And usually, if you're using your yellow trinket to ward deeper, right here, do we want our pink ward here, or would we want our pink ward somewhere else? Where else could we put our pink ward if our yellow ward is right here? What do you think? What do you guys think is a good place for our pink ward? In front of Herald. In front of Herald would be okay, right? In front of Herald would be okay. We definitely don't want it on Pixel. If Herald's up, you could place a pink on Herald if you think that you're going to do it. But there's another spot that's really good for us. No, not Pixel. Pixel's not your ward, right? That's like you running to your red buff and then dropping a pink ward right here. It's like, okay, like maybe, dude, but that's not that's not your domain. You want your pink ward for yourself. Behind red is okay. But this Krugs ward pretty much does that for us, and we could have warded red if you wanted to ward on red. So actually, right, Tribrush. Tribrush is a better place. So I will see people who they will walk and get this ward on Krugs, but then they will pink right here, right? But that doesn't make any sense, right? So if our yellow ward is going right here, we want our pink ward right here. Because it's like we said before. These wards are for if we already have the push. I saw someone ask earlier, so like, am I going to miss CS if I go and place these wards? No, You only place these wards after you have the push, right? You're not gonna the wave's not gonna be right here, and you're gonna be like, oh, let me just, oh, just don't mind me. I hope no one comes kill me right now. I go and get this ward, right? This isn't what we're doing, right? We are pushing, right? Playing our champion, Jace, play aggressive, right? We want to hump them under tower, take tower plates, all this sort of stuff, make their life miserable. And we get to this spot, and we say, oh man, I'm worried I might die to the jungler, right? I'm worried I might die to the jungler. So our solution to dying to the jungler isn't warding try, right? Try is not the solution in these situations where you're humping their tower. The solution is warding the camps, so you know before the jungler even ganks you if they're coming and how you should play and all that sort of stuff. Did on your mid ward river then? Yeah. So usually, so what will happen is junglers will not be taking raptors and then suddenly think, oh, I'm going to gank top, right? Let me run behind him. That's not something that's very often. That's not something that happens very often, unless they're going for crab, in which case you should just take the crab, right? But this is very rare, okay? That the jungler doesn't go through tri-brush after these things. I want you to look whenever you get ganked and you're playing blue side. The jungler always comes through tri. They just do. Like maybe if they were smarter, yeah, they'd run through river, which is like an advantage to pinking in front of Herald. If they're playing something that like maybe they're playing a roam champion like Kiana mid, and you want to see them when they get right here. Okay, sure, that's an advantage to pinking in front of Herald. It's all game specific, but if you're warding for the jungler, on average, they will not just take Raptors and then come top. Usually they will gank top before doing Krugs or after. Yeah, of course you can. It depends on the game, right? So like if I'm playing versus Jarvan and I'm scared of a level 2 gank, this ward doesn't do much for me, right? So that's where in the game you have to ask your teammates to ward different places for you, and that's tough, and that won't always work. But junglers like that usually are cheese junglers, and it's the most important thing is not dying. So in games like that, you actually want to just focus on CS, not really humping their tower. Because like, let's say you're playing versus TF as well, right? You're playing versus TF, and I'm pushing this wave, and I want to be humping their tower and pushing, but they have a TF with ult, right? So like, a lot of people would be like, "Oh my gosh, fucking mid diff! Like this TF is porting on top of me, right?" But that's what the champion does, right? So you obviously have to play around the champions that are in the game. You're playing versus Camille Galio, right? And Galio is missing. You're not allowed to be up here, right? So there's always external factors that will keep you from playing as aggressive as you want, and that's just League. League is not. It's a turn-based game, right? And once you start thinking about it like that, it becomes a lot easier to understand why you're dying on certain timers because it's their turn to make a play on you, right? Sometimes it's your turn to play aggressive, and sometimes it's their turn to play aggressive. You can't always be humping their top laner, and he never gets a turn to play the game, right? That's not how League works. It'd be perfect if that was, right? League's a 1v1 game, and we don't have to deal with junglers ganking us, and we can 1v1, you know, Fiora versus whatever, Fiora versus Camille, really fun, right? 1v1s, but that's just not how League works. So you always have to be thinking about what can the enemy team do to me, and how can I play around that? And I think that's what's keeping a lot of people from climbing. I will coach a lot of people, and they will say, "I always win my lane." This might be you guys. They'll say, "Man, I always win my lane, but I feel like I don't know how to transition my lead out of laning phase." I'm sure everyone's heard that. And really, what it comes down to is once you have a lane advantage, maybe a solo kill, a CS advantage, the most important thing on the map is not dying. Because not dying is ever since season 8, I think it was, when they introduced bounties. If you have an advantage and they kill you, it slingshots their XP, it slingshots their gold, and they catch up right back up to you. Maybe you solo kill this guy 3 times, and then he gets your 600 gold bounty, and then suddenly he's winning the 1v1, right? How frustrating is that? So yeah, so that's basically warding, playing around the jungle, all that sort of stuff. Cool. Let me think about what else I can do. What else are you guys interested in? Ask me some questions. We can talk about what you guys are interested in, and maybe we can run some 1v1 matchups, explain my thought process. Yeah. Any particular times to roam as a top laner? Yeah, so like I was talking about before. Oh, I'll hop back. I'll hop back into the practice tool because it's easier to explain that way. I didn't think about that. So, like I was explaining before, sometimes there will be times when you are playing like Jace, for example, and you want to really pressure them under tower, but there is something that is prohibiting you from doing that. Actually, I'll use Camille as a good example. Camille is a really good roaming top lane champion. Um, oh, when to TP? That's a good question as well. So Camille's hook shot is like the single most broken basic ability like for roaming in the game. Like it has so much mobility, right? Like it's the most broken basic ability mobility spell, right? So um, roaming on Camille is really important to getting uh, killing people on the map, and snowballing the map. So let's take a look at Camille. I'll just add some gold, and we'll be a super fed Camille this game. But we'll fast forward. So I don't want you guys. I want you guys to roam on roaming champions. Some champions can't roam. For like Fiora, for example, yeah, good luck roaming on Fiora, dude. Like you're gonna be trying to roam around the map, and it's not gonna happen. You're not gonna kill anyone because you're playing Fiora, right? So some champions are not good at roaming, but they still can sometimes. Oh, the minions aren't spawning. Okay, so never. So there are two situations, right? So if the wave is right here in front of their tower, let's just make it build. So it's right here in front of their tower, but I don't feel like I can CS these minions anymore because I feel like I might die to the jungler, right? This is a situation that happens often where you're scared to finish pushing this wave, and what a lot of people will do is they'll just sit in this bush and jerk off while the wave is stuck right here, right? Those AFK in this bush, people do this. I was coaching a D1 Fiora last night, and that's what he said he should do. Like he's stuck right here. He doesn't feel like he can touch the wave. But whenever we're in situations like this where we don't feel like we can touch the wave, that's when we start roaming. We start creating pressure around the map, right? So whenever you feel like you can't walk up in your lane, that's when you start roaming. Or if your wave is already crashed and you're playing a melee champion. So like another mistake I'll see a lot of people make is this wave is already crashed right here, and I'm playing Camille, but I'm still like making eye contact with this guy while he's CSing under his tower. It's like, dude, stop looking at this guy. Like you're gonna do something to him while he's under his tower. Like, stop it. It's melee versus melee. You're not gonna do anything. So if you are a melee versus melee matchup, you crash a tower, wave under his tower. That's a good time to start roaming as well because you don't have a better use of your time. And the roams don't have to be crazy. Like maybe I just roam and I stick my head in this jungle and I ward his red, and then that's my roam. Right now, I'm coming back to top lane, and the wave's coming back into me. Cool. It's just an efficient usage of your time. And in terms of TP, right? What I see what a lot of people do is they'll do these things called fuck it TPs, right? Where bot lane will be fighting, and they'll be like, man, top lane sucks. Like I'm just gonna TP bot. Like I'm just gonna TP bot because top lane doesn't matter, and whenever they're fighting, like I'll TP bot. But just use this rule, and every TP of yours will not be regretted. So only TP if you have crashed a wave on their tower, they can't stop you from TPing, and you have a way to impact the fight wherever you're TPing. Okay, so there will be some situations where you crash this wave, right? You're in this bush, you're ready to TP, but the wave is happening right in front of the enemy bot lane's tower, right? So this doesn't fulfill the requirement of being able to affect the fight, right? Any fights right in front of their towers, unless they're like all 1 HP, obviously there's an exception for every rule, but fights that happen right here are not fights that you can reliably TPN and affect, okay? But let's say that your TP gets you your bot gets you a nice ward right here, right? And the fight's happening over here. Okay, perfect. We've crashed our top wave. They can't stop us. We're in Tribush, right? And we have a nice TP ward. We have a way to affect the fight, right? So those are the situations where you should TP, and it's a very what's the right word? It's a very slim margin on when it's okay to TP and when it's not okay to TP. Because what is this top wave happening right now? What is the top wave doing right now? What is this called? A fine line. Yeah, exactly. It's slow pushing back. Yeah. So it's slow pushing back into me. Okay. So if I TP bot and I spend a lot of time bot, what's going to happen? Right. So if I spend too much time, then the wave will crash into my tower and I'll lose CS, right? So whenever you are TPing bot, okay? Whenever you're TPing bot, it needs to be, I'm going to blow my load, right? I'm going to blow my load and I'm going to E, maybe flash onto this carry, ult him, get a kill, and then instantly I'm going somewhere else and I'm resetting ASAP, okay? Because you need to get back to this wave. Because what is the enemy top laner going to do as soon as you TP? They're catching their wave under their tower. You TP away. What is the enemy top laner going to do? Exactly. He's going to push, right? So he's going to push, and this wave is just going to be ginormous. And if we die bot lane, especially, it's going to be so bad. Okay. So if you're going to TP across the map, it has to be crash on their tower. They can't stop you. You can affect the map, and then after you TP, you have to get out as soon as possible and get back to top, or else you will lose your advantage, right? Because I mean, I'm sure it's happened to everyone. You TP bot, and there's a long fight. A long fight's happening, and then eventually you die, and then you look top, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, dude, I'm never TPing bot again. I'm never TPing bot. Honestly, next game I'm sticking ignite. TP is a useless summoner spell. It literally doesn't do anything. Like it's just a bait. Like I never take TP again. Right? That's what. I mean, I've been there. Right? We all say that. We all say that. Um. So yeah, those are the rules for TPing. To answer your question, there's in-depth answer, but yeah. Do you tend to save your TP for Drake fights often, or do you premeditate your words, your wave to be there without using it? So I do not come to Drake fights as a top laner until the third dragon. Like very, very rarely, very rarely will I ever use my TP for a Drake as a top laner. It's just simply not worth it. Like this is bot lane's domain, you know. This is bot lane's domain in the jungle and mid. Okay, if bot lane wants to get the dragon, that's great. But I am not going to lose 300 gold for a dragon. I'm just not willing to do that. So I don't want any of you guys to do that. There are overriding factors. If you can get a double kill and maybe like a shutdown for TPing a drag, then it's not really TPing for the dragon, right? You're TPing for kills. You're TPing just like we did before. Still make sure the same conditions are met, but that's okay, right? We're getting more than just a dragon. But if the only thing is maybe they're like sort of fucking around right here, we TP just to secure the dragon. You're just like, oh, I'll just TP to secure the dragon. That's bad. Do not do that. Okay, your TP is worth more than that. And if you don't see a good TP opportunity, don't regret not using it because saving your TP is really good too. Sometimes the opportunity won't present itself, and then maybe you'll die to a gank, or you'll die in some random fight, maybe at Herald. Having your TP to be able to like catch a wave under your tower so you don't fall so far behind is really important. And there will be some games where the first 9 minute passes, and I don't use my TP at all because there just wasn't a good opportunity to, and I don't have I don't feel the need to if the opportunity doesn't present itself, which is the mindset that you should have for sure. But yeah, I'm never TPing for a drag. It's just not happening. You can't pay me to do that. Good luck balling. If you guys want the drag, it's all you guys. All right. More questions. Is there ever a situation where your back tower lines up for dragon spawns and you path the dragon fight and TP back to lane? Yeah, of course. Of course. You can, but the thing is that when you're pathing the dragon, okay? So I'm coming on base and I want to get the dragon. What's actually the best path for me to take to get the dragon? If I'm going to TP back top. So like let's say that I'm considering saving my TP as well. It's not for sure a fight. Because when you're walking a dragon, it's not going to be for sure a fight, or else you would be TPing. Yeah, down mid then pivot, exactly. So you just path towards mid out of base, right? And this lets you be in between, right? This lets you basically play like a mid laner, right? Where you're mid lane and the dragon, maybe your team's hitting dragon, and this wave is slow pushing back into you like it is right now, right? We just crashed the wave, we recalled, we're running through mid, wave is slow pushing back. If there's a fight, then we can run to the fight, take the fight, TP back top. But if not, then we run back top, and we did the same thing. We didn't need to use TP. So yeah, perfect. That's another way to secure the dragon. Perfect, perfect. Okay, if you guys don't have any more questions, we can hop into some 1v1s with people and do some instructional content on 1v1s, how they should be played, and what everyone is doing poorly or correctly. What if you're in a bad matchup, get frozen on, and your champion isn't good at roaming? Then you should play better and prevent that from happening. Most of us don't play Mordekaiser. Don't blind pick Mordekaiser. That's the solution. Oh no, I blind picked Mordekaiser and I got punished. Oh no. Who could have seen this? Who could have seen this happening? Who could have possibly seen this happening? No. But it's like, to be real though, just because your champion is bad at roaming, do you really think that the enemy team is so good that they won't die to a Mordekaiser roam? I have seen Jaces run mid and just kill the mid laner, like straight up. Like I'm playing Irelia versus Jace, I'm freezing on him, he's down 70 CS. They run mid and just randomly kill my mid laner on vision, right? Like people are not good. So if you really anything is better in League than dying, right? Dying is the worst thing you can do most of the time. So if you're dying, if you feel like you're going to die to the jungler or you're sure of it, then start running around the map, start farming jungle camps, start being a terrorist. Okay. Some people think like it's cheesing if you're getting frozen on and then you run around the map and like start pressuring other lanes, all that sort of stuff. That is not cheese, right? That is the best thing for you to do, and you're a terrorist, right? In solo queue, but it's the correct thing to do. Okay, and I would do that. Like if I'm trying to win, that's what I'm doing, right? Justice for Turd Blaster. It's basically never worked to enter break freeze. Okay, yeah. So what will happen at high levels of play is they call it flipping a wave, where the enemy team or our team. So I'm getting frozen on as Camille, right? And I don't feel safe to break the freeze because I don't know where the jungler is, right? So what you can communicate with your team is, okay, if they make a play on me top, be ready to dive their bot lane and cross map. Okay, so this is called flipping a wave, and it's not going to happen in solo queue, right? There are situations where it's good if your bot lane, if they can make a play bot in response to the enemy jungler being top, but that's not going to happen in solo queue, right? So it's not really inting to break the freeze, but yeah, if you think you might die walking up to a wave, it's better to just give a few CS, just get the XP, and miss the CS. The few CS, I promise you, is not going to matter. I'm sure you guys can think of every time that you're up 70 CS on the opponent, and you're just like, they're literally like AFK in the bush, not playing the game, okay? But you can't kill them, right? You can't get a huge lead on them, and they end up winning the game, even though they were like AFK. You know, they weren't playing the game, but you only had a CS lead, and that wasn't enough. So can you just do that to look for options elsewhere? Yeah. So so like I said, there are situations where it's good. I'm not going to say that there aren't situations where it's good to just like enter for the wave, but you guys shouldn't be doing it. It's just not it's very few and far between, and a lot of conditions have to be met for it to be appropriate. Huni would do this a lot, actually. Huni would flip the wave while his team is ready to make a play bot side, like on clutch, for example. Or impact as well. No, it's great. I'm glad you're asking questions, Jace. I wish other people would. But yeah. Okay. We can hop into some 1v1s if we have no more questions. And we'll do some instructive 1v1s for like maybe 15 minutes or so, and then we'll that'll be our hour seminar. It's very hard to do a lot of information without it having concrete examples, right? So This seminar is very general, and if there are specific examples to pull from, you can go more in depth, right? But it's hard to generalize, except for things like warding, first few waves, all that sort of stuff. Okay, anyone want a 1v1? Anyone want a 1v1? You can pick the matchup too. All right. All right, JC. What's a matchup that you're curious about that you don't know how it's supposed to be played, and you want to see either me play the side that you're winning on, or that you're losing on, you think it's winning, or what matchup do you want to see? I can teach you. I play Shin versus Gwen. So you want me to play Gwen? I feel my brain growing, taking this all in. It can sometimes be a lot as well. You know, it's hard to really um, internalize all of it. But just taking away a few things, like a few basic things, like warding is very important. And like if you guys get down warding, you will be better than 99% of people who have ever played League. Like if you just take in the warding stuff I said today, you will be better than like over 99% of people who have ever played League. If you can just get the warding down. All right, JC, do you want me to take Flash, Ignite? What do you want me to take? You can pick. Ignite. All right. So, JC, is this a matchup that you usually have a problem with? You know, like, why did you pick this matchup? I think you have trouble with her. Yeah, you should have trouble with her. It's a difficult matchup. So, as Shin, basically, what Gwen should do is wait. This is a concept that can be applied to anyone that has a range advantage over a champion, right? So, as Gwen in this matchup, you want to wait for Shin to auto the wave, and then his auto attack is on cooldown, and you can E onto him, auto attack reset, and auto him while his auto attack is on cooldown, right? So it's it's a very small thing, right? But auto attacks have cooldowns too. People don't think about that, right? Your attack speed just decreases your auto attack cooldown. It's just like auto attack CDR, right? It's a weird way of thinking of it, but it's correct. So whenever Shin is autoing the wave, that's when Gwen should also be autoing the wave, and then Eing onto him and autoing him while his auto attack's on cooldown, if that makes sense. But yeah, Shin should definitely have trouble in this matchup. It's Gwen rolls any tank pretty much, but we can play it out. And as Shen, you just want to be playing around your CDs. You know, when you have Q, W, E up, you can probably win a trade. But as Shen, you probably post 6, you should never really E in. If you E in on Gwen post 6, she'll probably just kill you. So just using your taunt defensively, using your QW as your trading abilities is probably what you want to be doing it as Shen. If you E in, then she'll just pop ult and you have to flash away. Not what you want. Oh, we have Ignite Shen. Oh my goodness. It's Shinning help. Well, also, playing versus Ignite top laners is something that people struggle with, or like Ghost Darius. But you just want to trade it and never get in lethal range, and then TP back healthier. Like right there, right? We get a free auto attack off. We're pushing the wave. Walk into the bush to break tower aggro. I'm going to be doing the same thing as I did in the set Yasuo matchup, where I'm just going to slow push. So his auto attack is on cooldown right there, so he can't auto me back, right? You see that? So now when he goes for the CS, I get another free auto off on him, right? And it's not like flashy, and it's not like a big advantage, but it's slowly winning me the lane, right? It's going to be hard to get both these CS. Ugh, nice. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I take flash on Gwen if there's like if they have a very mobile team. So this is what we talked about before, where I'm already gonna be recalling. I'm already gonna be recalling after I push this wave. So those trades are not good for him. They're better for me. Because like that damage doesn't stick to me, but this damage sticks to him, right? Because I'm recalling right here. So I recall. If he wants to hold the wave, then he's killing himself. Okay. I mean, I could just TP back and kill him, you know, but I'm not going to do that. But this lane state is obviously very bad for him. And so the lane's pretty much GG'd. We can keep playing it out, but he's going to lose all these minions, right? And that's why like a lot of people will struggle with that. Like if someone wants to hold a giant wave in front of their minion, their tower, like okay, dude, like sure, man, you can hold the freeze. Like we don't care, right? So just like, can they actually hold the freeze? And if they can't hold the freeze, let them take the extra damage, and it will be bad for them in the long term, even though it like pisses you off that they're holding the wave. Another mistake people will make whenever they cheat a recall is to instantly keep pushing, but we want the wave to be close to us actually, so we have more room in the lane to work with. We can run down the lane. Yeah. Some champions want to be pushing, but usually in melee versus melee matchups, it's better to keep the wave on your side. But like Jace, for example, wants to be pushing. You know, Jace is a range champion. This is fine. So that's his entire load, right? So once our CDs are back up, that's when we can EN and take a really good trade for us. I guess he has Ignite, huh? I think we still win. I didn't even think about his Ignite, though. Yeah, okay. All right, GG. But anyway, yeah, back to Flash over Ignite. It just depends on how mobile their team is, and sometimes I'll take Ghost as well if I feel like it's better to run them down. And usually, if you're already winning lane without Ignite, it's better to take a Flash or a Ghost Summoner because it scales better than Ignite. Ashen, how would you side with lane like that? You have to call jungle. So, um, you just have to call jungle. You need to ping jungle, and if your jungle isn't coming, then you need to outplay the 1v1 or start roaming. Just don't die. Just do not die. As Shin is TP better in that position, I mean, I would always run TP on Shin unless I'm versus like a Darius, just because TP is the most broken summoner spell in the entire game besides Flash. Like TP and Flash are the two most OP summoner spells in the game. But then chips you recommend a blind pick? Yeah. So we pull up OPGG, right? Here. I'll pull up OPGG. Alright guys. Change windows. Alright guys. We pull up OPGG. Oh guys, would you look at that? Win rate. Win rate. Oh, top lane. Oh, another. Okay, there we go. Wow, guys, these champions probably are pretty OP, huh? These are pretty OP champions. 54% win rate, huh? Wow. Or you look at pick rate. If something has a high pick rate and a high win rate, it's probably OP. Riven, holy shit, this champion's OP. This champion is super OP. Or you can just go to the tier list. Usually things are pretty um, indicative of whether or not you can blind pick a champion. All these champions in the top like 5, totally fine to blind pick. Totally fine. When you take TP versus Ignite in general, if you need Ignite to have a chance of winning the laning phase, then you take Ignite. Oh, Arahan, I think if you're still here, I'll invite you because you threw your name in while we were doing the last 1v1. If you're still here. Oh yeah, you're right there. I see you. All right, we'll do Arahan and then we'll do Jace. All right, what matchup do you want to run? Riven versus Set. What side do you want to play? Either side is fine. No, just let me know. Let me know which side you want to play. Well, I don't play Riven. Do you play Riven? Okay, you play Riven then. I'll play Set. Are you taking Ignite or no? I'm not going to take Ignite anyway, but I'm curious. That's good. If you take Ignite on Riven, you probably need to go touch some grass. Oh, and look at the VOD. I'll pull up the VOD real quick of the Riven versus. Oh, he's autofilled. I mean, it's autofilled top laner playing Fiora. So of course he's not going to know exactly to like zone level 1 and stuff that we talked about. Need touch grass anyway playing Riven. True. Everyone hates Riven players. Just a fact. But not as much as we hate Tom Kinch players. There's a tier list. It's like Tom Kinch is the worst, and then Darius, and then Riven. Those are like the 3 most hated champions top lane. And then Tryndamere is somewhere in there. Tryndamere's, yeah, they're unloved for sure. But Tryndamere's also somewhere in there. Hate any Mord matchup? I mean, Mord in general is a pretty shit champion. He has a lot of losing matchups. If you get hit by the E, you don't have hands. Yeah, so like you should only get hit by his Q and his autos. If you hit by E, then of course you're gonna lose. But he can't hit his E on you if you have fingers. So I'll play this like I would play an actual match or an actual game of solo queue. I won't do anything cheesy. Or do I obtain fingers? Sometimes just genetic diff. Stop maining set. Based. Do you think double tenacity is good versus Riven? I mean, there's some champions that I never go unflinching and tenacity on. Like Set, it feels too good to go Alacrity, or like Fiora, it feels too good to go Alacrity. I know it's probably like bad, but I just won't go tenacity and unflinching on those champions. I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, depends on the champion that you're playing, right? Oh, I was a little bit late on this board. Usually I were that 130, 125. Bone plating for bone plating is really good for us. This matchup I'm just gonna play for CS because of how the level 1 played out. If I E the minions, I'll actually push too quickly versus him. I couldn't totally zone him off the wave. Like trading CS right there is totally fine. And keeping the wave neutral as well is totally fine if I'm gonna hit level 2 first. So right here, I'll level 2 first. And now, what you can also do in situations like this, if the level 1 plays out like this, you can crush in the 4th wave instead of the 3rd wave. So in this game, I'll crash on 4 instead of 3, which is totally fine. Sometimes, I mean, oftentimes it's actually better to crash on 4, but it can only happen sometimes, depending on how the lane plays out. So like on this wave right here, I can take any trade that I want, right? And I'll be totally fine to like even lose a trade or take a tower shot because I'll be basing anyway after this, you know? So like this trade, I mean he's just gonna die. Alright, GG. But even if he didn't die right there, I could just take the trade in the base. The second auto, hey, it's the little things, baby. It's the little thing. What's up, Jug? If you know, you know. If you know, you know. All right, Jace. You want to get in here? It's just Jace MC, right? Based. What matchup do you want to play, buddy? Inferno, Jace, me versus Irelia, you. Okay. And Inferno Warning, I'm not Diamond 1. I have a Challenger account. Okay. This is just my Niles account. I figured I'd be on it. Do I not just engage there until 6? I mean, you have to. Yeah, you have to basically accept that your time to fight is when you have the minion wave advantage. So anytime you don't have a big minion wave advantage, you're going to be losing the trades if the set is playing correctly. And also, baiting out abilities is something you have to do. You have to play on the edge of Set's range, right? And be ready to bait out his abilities, his E or maybe his W, and then you can fight, right? You can't just fight him straight up. Set wins pretty much every melee versus melee matchup. Most melee versus melee matchups. Especially early levels. I can't think of a single melee champion that beats him level 1. If there's like beating each other down. Wukong, no. I mean, if Wukong... Oh, Trundle wins, actually. No, Jax doesn't win. If Wukong E's into Set's minions, then Wukong will lose. But if it's without minions, then yeah. Yo, thanks for hanging out. Super Poggers. Wow, thanks, bro. Thanks for being part of the seminar. So this matchup is a good example of a counter pick, but you lose early levels. So there are very few champions in the game that can contest Jace early game, and it's gonna be other ranged top laners. So like Akshan, for example, can contest Jace early levels and actually wins versus Jace. Or Lucian, right? But melee champions can't really contest the wave versus Jace. He's just too strong. So this will be a good example of how to play safe and lose the minimal, and then play on your all-in windows later. Maybe. I mean, we'll see. But whenever I'm in a matchup like this, maybe you're playing Irelia versus Jax, or you're playing Irelia versus Fiora, or Irelia versus Jace. I like to start W, because it's actually your highest damage ability, level 1, that you can hit people from range, right? So E is pretty unreliable on whether or not you're going to hit, and W also reduces the damage that you take, right? So I like starting W, and whenever he hits me, I just W, reduce some damage, and hit him back a little bit. And you can start D. You can start D shield in this lane as well. It's totally fine. I just prefer C-pot because I like to spam my abilities. I have ADHD. I have to keep hitting buttons for dopamine. Not really, but you know. Is that where Ken gets it? Yeah. Oh, also, when you're ever playing a match like this, you want to be walking with the wave, right? And then if he's in this bush, you insta ward it. I'm just gonna ward it already. Okay, perfect. Right. This is where I want to be in the lane. Okay. If Jace isn't in this bush, then I can actually play the game a little bit. So I'm gonna walk up and get the XP while taking a little bit of punishment. So I'm gonna take a bit of punishment from him right here. Totally fine. Right? We're just trying to get the XP from the minions. Boom. So we're playing respectfully, right? We're giving him the push. We're not being greedy and trying to get the minions, right? But we're getting the XP. So we're growing well. And then at level 2 right here, so we have to be respectful. I'll try and get the minions again. The XP. Right? W the trade. Cool. Right? We take those. And slowly we're chunking him. So even though we have 0 CS, we're still doing okay in the lane. Because if the Jace is playing correctly, we should always be 0 CS. We shouldn't be able to play the game. Okay. Pretty bad to take that damage right there, because he'll probably just base right here. So then our damage doesn't stick onto him, but it's okay. The good thing about Irelia, though, is she's a champion that works around getting her passive stacks, right? So whenever the wave is slow pushing it into the opponent, they have a very hard time holding it versus Irelia, because she's so strong with her minions and all of her passive stacked. So We're going to thin this wave a little bit. Oh, missed LCS. And it's going to be slow pushing into him, so we'll have a mini advantage, and we'll be pretty healthy. He's actually down in CS. That shouldn't happen. But we're just going to push. If he contests us, we're totally fine to fight him. But if he doesn't contest us, we're just playing for our recall right here. Which is how you should be playing in Irelia matchups, where you're usually not going to kill them when it's pushing into them. It's very hard to run them all the way down the lane, but you want to be freezing as Irelia and killing them in front of your tower. Because she has a lot of gap closers, right? This part of the lane, when they're right there, that's when you have a turn to kill them. Who might stop me? It's fine. Should have just backed up a little bit. And I don't want to stop my base. Like, this is very important. I get this base off. I'm out of C-pots. He has a buy advantage over me. Like, he just straight up wins. I'm going to go D-shield or D-blade and cloth armor here. Usually I don't like selling my biscuits, but it gives me the perfect buy right here. It feels so bad ever since they changed biscuits to only selling for 5. If I miss the cannon, I miss the cannon. It's more important just to save my TP. This is another example of like when to save your TP, when not to save your TP. Do not TP for a cannon minion. Don't do it. If it's just a cannon that you're gonna miss your TP, miss the cannon. Okay, your TP is worth more than that. It's worth more than the 70 gold. Okay, it'll feel bad. You don't get dopamine, but that's fine. You get dopamine from something else. Okay, I missed my stun, so I'm just gonna back up. All good. If I have my stun, I can fight. If I don't have my stun, then Jace wins. That's just how this matchup goes. Oh, damn. Ooh. Should not use my Q and not reset it. It's fine, though. Once my stun's back up, my Q's back up, that's when I can look to all in. Missed again. Oh, but he fucked up. He took tower shot. Goodbye, Jace. I got him. I'll just flash Q him. Smooge. Alright, GG. Alright. It's been a little over an hour for the seminar. I think this is the tower shot is what fucked you. This is a good introduction to top lane, and in terms of my coaching style, I like to really get into the like nitty gritty small details of things, and also give you general rules to follow that you can apply game after game when I see something that you're messing up. So a lot of people will mess up warding. That's why I thought it was a good thing to start off with. Warding and also playing level 1s and warding level 1. So yeah, if you guys have any extra messages, you can just DM me or whatever. That'll conclude the seminar. Thank you guys for watching, and hope it was helpful for you guys.